Hopefully this beer review comes in time where it's still fall, where it's still autumn, because that's the name of the beer, funny enough. Actually, it's not. It's the name of the beer style, so... Does it match up, or is this being uploaded in winter time? I'm very bad with timing and between shooting and uploading, but oh well, let's just drink beer. Beer, 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 beer. Hello everybody, welcome back to me, Maple Brewski, for another Rooski Brewski review. And today the beer that I have for you guys is by the Bobcaygeon Brewing Company. Obviously they are out of Bobcaygeon if I'm not mistaken. And they are out of Peterborough, Ontario, Canada. Which is, yeah, I guess the same place, different place. I honestly don't know where Bobcaygeon is. Forgive me for my lack of geographical knowledge. I'm not doing geography, I'm doing beerology. But yes, today from Bobcaygeon Brewing Company we have Foliage, an autumn ale. Now what is an autumn ale, you may ask? I have no idea. I don't think I've ever come across something called an autumn ale before. This is coming in at 5.4% alcohols by volume in a very red can, very reminiscent of that same color red that Lost Craft Revive had. Yes, 5.4%. No IBUs listed on the can. The IBUs that are listed on the website, though, are anywhere between 21 and 19. The picture of it says 21, but the notes in the shop page say 19, and Untapped shows 21, so let's just average it out to 20. Why not? Does it really matter? No. Should we crack this bad boy open? Hell yeah, let's do it. Oh my lord. Oh, that's a full can. Excited. Collective Arts glass, because this is, yep, many reviews were shot in succession, and I'm not at the limit where I don't shoot. But maybe after this one, I will be. Who knows? You'll see. If I'm wearing the same shirt and sort of using the same glass, you'll know. Let's look at the beer, shall we? Looking at the beer, that's a deep, dark amber. Almost in red ale territory, do I say. Nice off-white head on top. Looking fairly clear. Let's dive in the nose. Let's actually just drop my nose right in the beer again. Maybe that's a sign that I shouldn't be reviewing. On the nose, it almost smells oxidized. With that cardboardy, cheesy sort of note. But I don't think it is. I'm getting a little bit of caramel and toffee on the background. But it smells like dying leaves, like fallen leaves. Autumn. Foliage. Foliage. How do you pronounce it? Like I said, I am getting a bitter, musty, cheesy, cardboardy aroma. I'm a little nervous. Let's dive in. Let's see on the taste, because with the taste, we'll know. No. Not oxidized, but spiced. What spices? Like clove, nutmeg, not cinnamon, I don't. Yeah, cinnamon, nutmeg, clove, and a fairly strong earthy aroma to it. Not dried leaves, but decaying fallen leaves. It does smell like when you smell fallen leaves that are wet after a nice autumn rain, or I guess more appropriate descriptor, a depressing autumn rain. That seems to be the kind of taste and aroma that I'm getting off of this. I guess we'll move on. Cheers everybody, let's keep on drinking, let's figure this one out. Yeah, fairly spiced. Caramel, and then moving into clove, nutmeg, and cinnamon sort of flavors. And then like an earthier or grassier hop presence. Then coming in with that bitterness, more of like some, dying, fallen autumn leaves sort of flavor. Maybe that's just because I'm thinking foliage and autumn ale. But that's sort of what I'm getting. I kind of like the spice note of it, but now that I'm thinking of fallen, dying leaves on the ground, it just doesn't really work in that aspect. Plus, there is that earthiness of the hops, I would assume. That just seems to throw it a little out of sorts for me. But moving forward, looking to the brighter side, yeah, it's definitely just more spice than anything. Cloves, nutmeg, cinnamon, allspice per se. Kind of reminiscent of like a pumpkin beer, but not as pumpkin-y or, pumpkin-y forward. Can I get behind this? Kind of. I mean, I don't really like when a lot of spices get added to a beer or get put in and made into a beer. I really enjoyed them maybe a few years ago when I was first introduced to this sort of the autumn style, that pumpkin style of beer. But as of late, I can't get behind it. Well, let's see what the can has to say. Bobcaygeon Brewing Company, Foliage, 5.4% alcohols by volume, autumn ale, 19 to 21, I'm going to say 20 IBUs on average. We do have a description, and it reads, Bobcaygeon Brewing Company was founded with one goal in mind: to brew great craft beers to be enjoyed among friends. That's it, nothing more, nothing less. So that's a description of the brewery itself. Brewed by Bobcaygeon Brewing Company in Peterborough, Ontario. On the side, ingredients are water, barley malt, hops, yeast, cinnamon, ginger. So no nutmeg or allspice, but I'm kind of getting those notes. On the bottom, do we have a canned on date? We do. Packaged on August 17th, 2020. So this is a little older, but it still tastes fairly fresh, I think. The aroma definitely isn't oxidized. It's just the weird bit of what's the word? Why can't I find it? Spice that was added to it. Pretty interesting. Not my thing. I'm not a big fan of the spiced beers in a sense. In the autumn season, the spice comes through very true. But for me, over time, they just don't fit what beer should be, in a sense. At least for me. I don't know. For some people, it might really work for them. It might just really like please their palate. But for me, it's not a palate pleaser. Over on the website, bobcaygeonbrewing.ca, you actually have to go to the shop page to figure out what's going on with the beer. They do have a description of the beer itself, and it reads, pouring a beautiful orange hue, Foliage Autumn Ale is malty and warming with just a hint of fall spices. Far from cloying, Foliage is sessionable and a perfect pairing for many fall dishes. Pairing, yes, 100%. Far from cloying, yes. Hint of fall spices, I'd say it's a little heavier. Then again, I'm more susceptible to them. Some people may not be, so they might come across a little less intense. But I'm getting a fair bit of fall spice out of this bad boy. Again, ABV, IBU listed, and then the price for a single can, 6-pack, and case of 2-4. We will get to those after we hit up the LCBO's pricing. Over on Untappd, Foliage has been given a 3.5 bottle caps out of 5, and that's out of, almost 1,400 ratings. Finally, at your local LCBO, if you're wanting to pick up Foliage, it will run you $3.35 for the 473 ml can. $3.35, not bad. Just 10 cents over the average, especially for a seasonal beer. Can definitely get behind that price if you want to try it out. And then moving back to their website, if you're doing an online order directly from them, single cans again, $3.35 for a 6-pack. For a 6-pack, you're looking at $20.10, and for a 2-4, you're looking at $80.40. Now, as for the beer itself, like I said, maybe when I first started this channel, a year in, maybe even 2 years in, I really did appreciate the fall sort of spiced beers, the pumpkin beers of the world. This one isn't specifically pumpkin, but those autumn, fall sort of beers where they have that cinnamon. This one has ginger. I'm not a big fan of ginger, but thankfully it doesn't really come up for me in this. That nutmeggy, that all spiciness of it. I've kind of moved a lot away. My palate has shifted in a sense where I just don't enjoy them. They do become a little cloyingly sweet. The spices in them aren't my vibe, but hey, that's me. That's me and my personal palate. I'm not a big fan of pumpkin pie. I love the smell of pumpkin pie. I like the smell of this beer. It smells great, but the spices for me are just not my thing. It just doesn't work for me. But being a reviewer and obviously going to be drinking things that I might not like, I have to look past what I don't like in a beer or in anything and think about, does it work in the beer? Is it still a good beer even though if I don't like it? Is it a beer that's good in general? Yeah, I'd say it is. You know what? Foliage Autumn Ale from Bobcaygeon is a solid spiced beer. The spices come through quite beautifully. There's that bit of earthy, grassy hoppiness that comes up as well. Sort of elevates that spice note and just brings everything together. It's a very light to moderate body, goes down smooth. Beautiful flavors, so that spice lingers on the palate. Not too long and not too intense, just a nice little brush of lingering flavors. It does work beautifully well, and it's not as overly spiced as maybe some other pumpkin beers. But then again, it's not marketed as a pumpkin beer. So can I get behind this beer as being one for me? No. Can I get behind this beer for one who really enjoys these kind of spices that are implemented into beers and maybe kind of tying it into the pumpkin beer style, or I guess more accurately a fall beer style? Yes, I can. It is beautifully well done. The flavors just aren't for me. That's why I give Foliage. But before my final mark, we need to do the one thing before we get there. Cheers on the final sip. Let's get right to ratings and wrap this thing up. Foliage, Bobcaygeon, Autumn Ale. Not my flavors, but then again, that's why I've not really tried any of the new pumpkin beers or autumn-focused beers, because it's just not my thing. But you know what? I was like, you know what? Even if you don't like it, Maple Roost, you gotta try it, you gotta see it, you gotta tell the people about it. It's not my thing, not my flavor profile. But for an autumn beer, for a spiced beer, great friggin' job. Great job, Foliage Brewing Company. Great job, Bobcaygeon Brewing Company. You did a great job with Foliage and bringing those spices to life, making them pop but not be overbearing or linger super, super long. It works. It works. Not for me, but it works in general. Overall, Foliage from Bobcaygeon gets a solid 7.9 out of 10 for me. As for presentation, Bobcaygeon always does a solid job. It seems like they usually have the same sort of base can design, which I do quite like. The red on here, you know what? It doesn't make it. Some people might not think fall red, but have you ever seen a tree turn red in the fall? It looks amazing, and this, pretty good stuff in general. Yeah, it pops. It catches your eye. This is why I found it. It caught my eye. I'm just like, whoa, red can? I don't care what it says. I looked at it in Foliage Autumn Ale. I'm like, yes, red. I like red. We're good. Sadly, no description about the beer on here, but it's a nice description about the brewery itself. Ingredients are listed, which is nice. And on the bottom, it clearly labeled can on date. No IBUs. No description of the beer itself. Not a big deal. Thankfully, the website does have a description of the beer, also throwing in the IBUs, and then pricing between a single 6-pack and 2-4 can, and then pricing between a single 6-pack and 2-4 sizing of purchase. I really do appreciate that as well. Overall, presentation gets a solid 7.5 out of 10 for me. Before I leave you guys, if you have any comments, questions, or beers you want to review in the future, you can leave all that information down in the comment box below. If you want to go ahead and like this video or subscribe to me, Mate Brewski, that'd be greatly appreciated as well. And with all that said, that's going to do it for me, Mate Brewski. Like I always say, crack a beer and enjoy. Cheers. Though autumn beers may not be for me, I can appreciate the beautiful doneness and makeup of the beer. Cheers.